Dave McIntosh here with another adventure for you. Over the next few videos, we are going to travel around Israel and visit some of the holy sites and some of the everyday sites across the country. Now, this isn't going to look at the country from a political perspective, and I'm not an archaeologist or a historian. It's my reaction and understanding of how things are related to my time spent in the country. I also want to say up front that the location of these holy sites is man's best guess at where they were. And though I believe these sites actually exist, I just am not 100% sure that they are where they say they are. In 2019, my wife and I traveled to Israel on a tour, and it was an amazing time at what we were able to see. In 2022, we spent 2 months there volunteering, so 2 months is not a long period of time, but it is a significant period, and that is what these videos are going to be based on. We are going to start in Bethlehem and travel counterclockwise around the country and end up in Jerusalem. Along the way, we are going to visit places that Herod liked to go, where Jesus walked, and where the Palestinian people have lived for centuries. But be aware, after this trip, you may not be the same. I wasn't. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Bethlehem, the city of Jesus' birth, which we just got done celebrating just a couple weeks ago. Bethlehem is in the West Bank, which means it is in occupied territory and behind a 30-foot high wall. When we were there was relative peace in the city. We loved walking the streets up to the Church of the Nativity. Star Street is a narrow, winding street with both houses and shops along it, though the shops weren't always open. One shop that was a bakery where they made amazing bread in an old stone oven. The smell of the fresh bread as you walked past was amazing. Another street that went up to the church is Children's Street. Now this street is a hub of activity with shops all along it, as well as street vendors and local farmers selling their produce. It was always busy and amazing to see the people walking and cars driving and vendors selling all along this narrow street. There were all kinds of places selling street food as well. The buzz from the crowd was both a delight and almost deafening. The church is at the top of a hill, and as you walk up the street towards the church, you finally came to an open courtyard called Manger Square. The courtyard is used for all special occasions and is where the whole city gets together to celebrate. Around the outside of the square are all kinds of shops and restaurants. Several of the shops specialize in olive wood carving. It is an amazing feeling just to be there and take it all in. At the far side of the square is the Church of the Nativity, where it is believed that Jesus was born in then a manger. This is the first holy site we will visit. The church, at first glance, is fairly plain looking, and near the corner of the building is a small door which is the entry door to the church. This is the door that everyone must enter by and is called the door of humility, as everyone must stoop to get in. Inside, there is a big room with columns on each side and a number of old lamps hanging from the ceiling. At the far end of the room is the altar area. If you travel down the right side of the sanctuary, past the altar area, you come to a small room with a steep set of stairs down to a small area called the grotto that has a place where you can kneel down and touch the rock where the manger first was. Tours will take you through, though at times the line can be quite long. But if you go too early, you won't be allowed to go down to the bottom area. You exit out the other side into a very nice courtyard. Directly across the square, Manger Square, is a mosque, and this speaks to the two major faiths in the city. Just around the corner is a very nice cafe looking out over the city. We enjoyed a coffee or a cold drink there on several occasions. From here you can see settlements, and you can look towards the Shepherd's Fields, which is only a short drive away. A Pope-mobile was sitting there as a remembrance to the Pope's visit several years before. Today, that Pope-mobile has been converted to an ambulance to help out in Gaza. We love spending time up at Manger Square and taking in all the atmosphere and culture of the area. Now, let's hop in a car and go down to the Shepherd's Fields. As you arrive at the Shepherd's Fields, our second holy site, there is a small chapel with pictures of the way it might have been like, painted on the walls, in alcoves around the perimeter of this little chapel. Outside, there are ruins from early years and places for groups to get together and hear about this historical site. You can look out over the hills and see where shepherds still graze their sheep and goats. We really enjoyed our time here. Another place people like to go while they're in Bethlehem is to see the wall. This is a 10-meter high wall that separates the West Bank from the rest of Israel. It is an intimidating wall that restricts Palestinians from entering Jewish Israel unless they go through a checkpoint and have the right papers to do so. It makes life very difficult for the Palestinians that live there. While we were there, we stayed at a guest house not far from the wall, and on our way to the wall was a grocery store that we often went to get some food. They were really great, and one day, as my wife was paying for the food, the clerk questioned her on the pitas she had gotten, saying they weren't warm, so they weren't fresh, and to go get fresh ones. When has a clerk at your grocery store ever done something like that? We enjoyed visiting and getting our fruits and vegetables at a little shop right across the street from where we were staying. They were always friendly and helpful. We also enjoyed a few different places to eat while we were there. One little restaurant across the street was mostly takeout, but did have a couple tables. They cooked the food right in front of you, and it was always delicious. We also ate at another restaurant closer to Children's Street, where the second time we were there, a couple weeks after the first, they remembered us and what we had eaten. We always enjoyed the Palestinian foods, and they were always very friendly. One day, when we wanted to go to a little community not far from Bethlehem, we wanted to take a taxi, and there was always a lot to choose from. But they weren't always fair with their prices. We ended up getting a taxi with Ishmael, a very friendly and fair driver, who also took us to a number of places and became sort of our tour guide as well. You will meet him in my next video. There is lots more to see in Bethlehem. For instance, there is more than one refugee camp in Bethlehem. These are areas occupied by Palestinians that were displaced by settlers in 1948, when Israel was officially given the land that they presently occupy to settle in after the Second World War. The refugee camps are small, overcrowded places that displaced Palestinians were given to live in and are not allowed to move out of. We visited Ada Camp, one of these refugee places. It was really hard to comprehend what these people had to go through, as their houses were taken from them and they were and are forced to live in deplorable conditions today, these many years later. They had an archway into the camp with a giant key on the top, which is their way of saying they want the keys to their homes back. But they will never get them. While we were in Bethlehem, we got to spend an evening at a concert of traditional music put on by a school of music in the city. The concert was in a beautiful concert hall just at the edge of the city, and everyone was dressed to the nines. The musicians filled the stage and ranged in age from fairly young teens to adults. I'm not sure what all the instruments that they played were called, but many played a guitar-like instrument, as well as different types of harps and violins, etc. Listen now to some of their music. It was a special night for us to take in. Well, there's lots more to see, and there's lots more stories to tell. And we haven't gone far on this particular trip. But on our next trip, we are going to visit some places close to Bethlehem and start on our tour around the country. One of the places we will visit is Batir, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a few other places that will give you a good sense of how the Palestinian people want to be seen and known. I trust you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you come again and continue this tour with us.